Hello, welcome back to what I'm calling my mental illness story. This is episode 2. I'm Tanner Hines. I am a audio engineer and stand-up comedian based out of Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm back in the studio's control room B. You can see stuff's on, lit up. A little secret, if you're ever watching a video with someone in the studio and there's stuff on screens and gear lit up behind them, they're not actually using it. It just looks cool when stuff is on, so it's all fake. This is episode 2. If you didn't watch episode 1, I just basically gave an overview of my illness and why I wanted to start this series. So if you haven't watched that yet, be sure to watch that. It's on my channel. It's kind of important if you watch these in order, since I'm trying to tell a linear story, so that would make more sense to watch the first one before you get into this one. Today I want to start actually telling my story of my mental illness story. And it starts by me telling you my earliest memory, which was I was probably around 12 to 18 months old, I guess, whatever the average age is that kids start walking. And I was laying in my crib, and I heard a noise, and I have a twin sister, and we shared a nursery at the time. And I'm laying on my back, and I hear a noise. I look over, and I see my sister in her crib across the room. She's trying to get out of her crib. She's like crawling to the top of her crib, and she gets onto the changing station, which is right next to her crib. Gets onto that, and she's able to shimmy down onto the floor and starts walking around. And I know that sounds like I shouldn't remember that. That's a real long time ago. I know memories don't really start forming until you're about age 3 or whatever, so I really shouldn't remember this, but I swear that I remember this. Is too vivid to be a dream. And it's interesting that that's the first thing I can think of happening to me. This is sort of, even though I wasn't able to recognize this at the time, it was sort of the first, planting the first seed of me seeing things that other people could do that I would never be able to do, either through lack of skill or that I didn't deserve to be doing what other people were doing. And this was sort of the origin of that, at least in thinking about it now. So I think that's an important thing for me to say firsthand, off the bat, that's the first thing I remember, and how I think that sort of set the tone for the rest of my life in terms of always thinking that I couldn't do things other people could do, or I wasn't deserving of things other people could do seemingly pretty easily. And that's sort of a path that's followed me up until today. I mentioned my twin sister. We have 2 older brothers, and my parents wanted to have a daughter. They wanted to try for a daughter, so they did, and they got the daughter they wanted, but they also got me, and also, so they had twins. They got the daughter, but they had me too. So we're like a baseball family. So I'm sort of like the player to be named later in a trade. So that's sort of the deal that we got. So we were supposed to be due on Valentine's Day of January of 1992, and we were actually born on January 9th, 1992. Like most twins, we were born premature. Just happened to be by a full 5 weeks. So we were C-sectioned, and they pulled me out first, I guess. I'm not sure how that works with twins and C-sections. It doesn't matter. So they pulled me out. I was born just under 4 pounds. My sister was born well over 6 pounds, and the quote from the doctor, he pulled out my sister, was, "Oh, she's a fine size." So she got to go home pretty much right away. I had to stay behind, and they put me in like this like incubator thing to cook a little while longer, I guess. And the first time that my grandpa saw me, this is my mom's dad. He saw me from across the nursery. I was licking the top of my incubator, and my mom told me that he said, oh no, my daughter's giving birth to a scalded monkey. So there's should be no surprise where my dark sense of humor comes from. So I was real little, and I had a bunch of problems as a baby. I was born with congenital glaucoma, had 5 separate eye surgeries as an infant, nearsighted in one eye, farsighted in the other. And I was given my first pair of glasses when I was 11 months old. I usually wear contacts, but sometimes I wear glasses. So I've been wearing glasses or some sort of lenses since I was 11 months old. Also, at the time when I was born, I had to have my hernia repaired. So I had my hernia operated on as an infant, and then in the recovery room, they gave me morphine for the pain, and that caused me to cardiac arrest. And despite all the bells and whistles going off, no one seemed to be coming to my aid. Luckily, my parents were there, and my dad had to physically grab a nurse out of an elevator and say, "Help me, my baby's dying," as my mom watched as I started turning blue. So she came in and she hit the Narcan button, which reverses the effects of opioids, and my vitals stabilized, the color returned to my face. And as a result of this action, the entire children's hospital system across the country had to rewrite their code on what they do, on how they give painkillers to babies who have had operations there. And I had a standing order until if my parents noticed anything physically that they could attribute to this happening, having the oxygen supply cut off to my brain as a kid. If they noticed anything physically, they had up until I turned 18 to sue Children's Hospital if they thought there was a correlation. Turned 18, we never followed suit. And I didn't think of this at the time, but in thinking about it now and looking back on it, the interesting part is I didn't start receiving treatment for my mental illness until October 2009, and that's an important date because that's 3 months before my 18th birthday. And again, why not thinking about it at the time? And looking back on it, I can't help but think that maybe all the issues I have mentally might have been attributed to what happened to me after that hernia operation as a baby. Problem was, it was 3 months before I turned 18. Was there enough time to file a suit? And beyond that, could you even prove that, having that sort of trauma as a child correlate to, mental illness today? There would be no way to prove that medically to find a correlation. So it might not even made a difference, but it is something I think about. But it didn't change anything. I still have to deal with my illness. It's not gonna, being wrapped up in a court case isn't gonna change anything. So it's just an interesting thing to think about. How things can sort of affect you, despite there being a big gap in between when things happen and when they don't happen. I think that's all that I wanted to share for now. I think that's a good base to really start to get into the story. Next time we'll talk about early childhood, growing up, and then starting school and everything that goes along with that. If you like the video so far, be sure to hit the thumbs up. Share, please feel free to share the video any and all ways that you can. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed already. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers. That way I can get a just one link, URL link that I can share with everybody that you can show you to all my videos. That makes it a lot easier. We're almost there, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Like and share, and stay tuned for episode 3 in a couple weeks. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you soon. Bye.